Hey, welcome back to the Weekly Word Outdoor Adventures. We're kind of spending about a month of Weekly Words just knocking around Athens here during this cold time of the year. If you watched last week about the last hanging in Athens, we were just across the road at the side of a jail that some people still are old enough to remember when it was standing there, the Battle of Athens jail, I call it. But before that, there was a jail right here in Knight Park. That was the first jail in Athens. I think it's about 1820s. They had a log structure here, and then I read it was replaced with a small brick jail before they moved to the third jail across the road over there. This jail came with a whipping post. I've said it many times in my adult life, and I guess people think I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I said we need to bring back the whipping post in the public square. Some of the stuff I see today that I believe some of these folks, they just have a good time if they get thrown in jail for a little while, but it would be a deterrent to them and others too if they got tied up to the public whipping post and humiliated and beaten with stripes, sometimes many stripes. But that's what happened here at the old jail. I read a story last night that a fella in the early 1800s had been convicted of stealing some property valued at $1.50. Now remember, in the early 1800s, $1.50 were worth a lot more. But his sentence was at 2 p.m. on a certain day to be tied to the whipping post, and that was the job of the sheriff. The sheriff had to whip his bare back 5 times. I can see Sheriff Joe Guy out here doing this today. I believe we need to bring that back. And if you don't think that works, I just go back to my own childhood when in the classroom, our teachers were not only the policemen, but they were the judge and the jury, and they administered the whippings too. I think of some of my old teachers like Coach Billy Joe Schultz or Coach Gene Davis. Boy, if you got in trouble, they had to put you up there in front of the class and you hang on to both sides of the desk. And they had paddles handles were whittled down on them, had holes drilled in them. I don't know if that made them hurt worse or just look mean and scary. But boy, they would swing that thing and your toes would come off the ground. Yeah, they've stopped all that, but I just submit to you our society back in that day and our society today, and I don't think we've gotten better for it. I'm all for bringing back the whipping post and the paddling in the schools too. But you know, can you imagine if you were that guy sentenced to that 5 lashes across his bare back? By the way, he had to do full restitution of what he had stolen too, plus the punishment. Can you imagine if he'd had a friend that said, "Judge, I'll take his whipping on his behalf," even though that friend knew that he was guilty? And that'd be some friend, wouldn't it? But oh, what a friend we have in Jesus. I was guilty, and the Lord knew that I was guilty, and you too. But he stepped in and he took our stripes across his back, and we were even given the death penalty by God. We were given capital punishment, but Jesus stepped in and took that punishment on our behalf. If you'll believe that and apply it to your life, that's called the gospel. He didn't just stay dead, though. He come out of that tomb, and he's an ever-present help in trouble. I'm glad that Jesus stepped. I can't comprehend that kind of love, but that's what he did for me and for you. We'll see you next week on the Weekly Word. God bless you, Lord willing.